come from somewhere else, but this is where we found ourselves. Welcome to the local show. People you work with, people you know.
Welcome to another edition of the Local Show here on Grassroots Community Network. I'm Eric Scarvin, your host. Guys, thanks for joining us this week. Well into the dog days of summer as we near the end of August already. Hope you guys have been enjoying the beautiful summer and the recent rain, which we so desperately need. And thanks for tuning in this week. We've got a first-time guest of the week. She's relatively new to the Pitkin County government and the staff over at Pitkin County Landfill, although she's kind of freelances too outside the landfill. I want to welcome Liz Mauro to the show. And Liz, I'm going to try to get your full title.
Okay.
Environmental Compliance Specialist and Land Manager.
Good work. You got it.
I think I got it.
Yeah.
And that sounds like good work. Like,
it is.
Like you got a lot of work to do with that big title, Environmental Compliance Officer and Land Manager. Sounds like there's a lot to do there.
It's true. There is. I'm never bored. Yeah.
Well, we were going to get into that and what that title, entails and some of your responsibilities. But Liz, we want to know a little bit about you. Like, where were you born and raised?
I was born in Massachusetts, and
Okay.
I was raised in New England my whole life until I moved out to Colorado for college.
Okay.
And have stayed ever since.
And where did you go to college?
So I went to Colorado Mountain College, and then I went
Okay.
to Colorado State University in Fort Collins. So,
Okay.
So
Okay.
both.
And then what was your degree that you graduated with?
Natural resource management.
Okay, so that's all making sense now.
Yeah.
And then, so it was really like a lot of people you hear, they kind of shift, whether it's from the East or the Midwest, over to Colorado for college. And then it just kind of like sticks with them. They'd never want to leave Colorado. And what was it about like Colorado?
Yeah.
Had you vacationed here as a kid at all? Or was your college your first Colorado?
I had been out here a few times for
Okay.
vacation. Yeah. And
Okay.
I don't know, just liked it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Big skier?
Everything about it. Yeah, I enjoy skiing. Not a huge skier.
Okay.
Enjoy hiking. I like that you can just get out in nature in any direction and go, you know.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Especially in this valley where it seems like we have so much open space. Aspen, I think, is like 70% open space right around the town. So that access to nature, the beauty of the mountains, I take it, was striking
Yeah.
to you when you
Yeah.
kind of first laid eyes on Colorado?
Definitely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And now you've been in the valley since, is it 2011? You've been in the valley. Okay.
Yeah.
And and what was your first job when you landed here?
Well, so my first job here in the valley was working for Aspen Consolidated Sanitation District,
Okay.
which is the wastewater plant just down behind the Airport Business Center,
Okay.
which treats all of Aspen's wastewater, including from here.
All
So,
right.
and I was down there for 7 years
Okay.
working there.
Okay.
Which was, yeah.
Is Casey Ward working down there?
He is.
Okay, because he
If
was
he's,
there.
if
and then
he's
he went
watching
to,
now, we can wave to him. Hi,
Casey,
Casey.
hope
Hi,
you're
Casey.
tuning in. Because he had worked and then he had gone to the police department and then he went back, correct? Or
No, he didn't go back. He worked for the water department.
okay.
Which this is an interesting, civics aside. Casey worked for the water department, drinking water,
Oh, right.
right?
Okay.
Which
okay.
is City of Aspen.
I gotcha.
And then now he works for the sanitation district, which is separate.
okay.
So
Okay.
from one end to the other end.
But now you're
Yeah.
working for Pitkin County.
And
how
now
did
I work
that,
for Pitkin County.
How did that evolve? Did you get to know some of the county staff through your
Well, I
former
mean,
job?
Yeah, basically, yeah. I mean,
Okay.
so part of what people do at the wastewater plant is they spend a lot of time driving up to the landfill to drop off the screenings and the
Okay.
biosolids.
Okay.
Which you could have a whole other show about that. You should have someone on from ACSD.
Okay.
But so I spent a lot of time taking trips to the landfill to drop stuff off there from the sewage plant, and just was always really curious about their system and what they were doing with this stuff and their composting, and kind of got to know some of the people there, made some acquaintances, and I just thought it was really interesting. So when this job came open, I jumped on it.
Okay, so
Yeah.
and now that's been since May. Mm-hmm.
Since May.
We were talking a little bit before the show, and of course I did in-depth research as well, as I
Yeah.
do for every show.
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so now like, how's it going so far? I mean, has it been like
Great.
pretty natural, comfortable? Has it been overwhelming? Like, how would you characterize that transition?
I think just like it's going great. I think it just feels very natural. I feel very at home in my new job, and it's been a great transition, and I'm just like, I would say I'm happily busy every day, but not overwhelmed.
And are you
but definitely happily busy.
Happily, okay.
Yeah.
So good workload.
There's a lot.
Not too stressful, not too overwhelmed. Are you based at the landfill? Is that where your office is?
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Yeah.
But your purview goes outside the landfill.
Exactly.
And we'll talk a little bit about that after the break.
Okay.
But basically, just to kind of summarize, environmental compliance is the landfill itself being compliant,
Yes.
primarily to state law. And then also you have compliance outside the landfill, which could be anything from weed management to, what are some of the other things that you would?
It's mostly
kind of
weed
manage?
management. I mean,
Okay.
it's because that's the part of state law and county code that the land management department's enforcing is the Noxious Weed Act.
Okay.
So that's the legal aspect of it, is enforcing the Noxious Weed Act. But people also can come to me if they have questions, questions about plant health and things like that.
Okay.
On their private
But
land.
not how to grow cannabis. That's not your...
I mean, they can ask, but I'm not an expert, so they might not get a great answer from me.
Not your specific,
But I would try Google probably for that one.
Well, we've got so much
Yeah.
to get to, Liz. Thank you for being on the show today.
You're welcome.
We're going to take a quick break, guys. We have one break during the local show. We want to thank our summer underwriters, including Pitkin County Landfill, Aspen Animal Hospital, the Aspen Times, Klug Properties, Sundog Athletics, and I think I got them all. We'll go to a quick break. We'll be back in 2 minutes with Liz Mauro. She's going to let us educate us on noxious weeds, other things that are maybe more lovely in Pitkin County, and some great information, so don't go away. Aspen Animal Hospital not only offers our community a friendly professional staff featuring 5 veterinarians, but a new wellness program for pets focusing on prevention and pet longevity. They offer new enhanced feline care, exotic pet care, and acupuncture. Extended hours on weekdays and weekends offer more convenience. For more information, 925-2611 or aspenanimalhospital.com.
We're not in Kansas anymore.
Hey, did you miss the turn for recycling?
I can't read the map on your cracked screen.
I'm so passionate about this community. I absolutely love living here and raising my family here. It gives me a lot of pride to share this with my friends and my clients and help them achieve their dreams of owning an Aspen snowmass and enjoying this incredible lifestyle.
The Aspen Times has been telling the stories that matter to our community since 1881 and continues to be the only local media outlet committed to local prep sports and dedicated arts and entertainment coverage. They also offer you The Drop-In, a weekly outdoor recreation video highlighting the many reasons we love to live in this community. You can find the Aspen Times at local newsstands, aspentimes.com, Facebook, and Instagram.
Celebrating another great summer season, Aspen Square Hotel is the hospitality place, featuring fireplace studio suites and larger condominiums with full hotel-style services in the center of downtown Aspen. All accommodations are air-conditioned, and Aspen Square is proud to support the local show. To find out more, visit aspensquarehotel.com.
Welcome to the local show. People you work with, people you know.
We're back here on the local show. Thanks for sticking with us. We've got Liz Mauro, a first-time guest in the local show. So Liz, good job. You're killing it so far.
Thanks.
You seem very relaxed. I'm sure it's all due to my co-host Luna.
I wish she would cuddle with me, but
Luna, go
it's
on up.
okay.
Luna, you can maybe
No,
just-
we can't make her. It's okay.
Well, she'll come up in her own due time. You know, the thing is when you get to 10 years old, you're kind of like, you know what? It's kind of like, our seniors, we'll do it when we feel like it. No one's going to really tell them too much.
Yeah.
Just kind of do it. And you're a dog lover yourself.
And
right?
my dog's 11, so I know how that is.
there you
yeah,
go.
Yeah, she does her own thing.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's
you have
okay.
a queen of the house too. Mm-hmm. That pretty much dictates
Another queen, yeah.
how things are going to go.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I do.
So I hope your dog tunes in, because I know you don't have television, but maybe on the internet you could show maybe with a laptop.
Yeah, she'll get on her laptop and
What's
look
your
at
dog's
it.
name?
Blueberry.
Okay, Blueberry,
Yeah.
check me out. Here's me and Luna. Don't get jealous. So we were
will.
talking before the break about your responsibilities, Liz, both at the
Mm-hmm.
Pitkin County landfill and outside the landfill. Let's focus on the landfill, because that's
Okay.
the majority of your kind of your purview and your time spent is making sure the landfill is compliant with typically Colorado state law. Can you kind of elaborate on that a little bit?
Sure, I can elaborate. So there's a lot to elaborate on. So as you can imagine, it takes a lot of permitting to run a landfill. There are a lot of permits you have to comply with. We have a permit that's many, many pages long, and most of it is enforced by the Colorado Department of Public Health and Environment.
Okay.
I don't know if you've heard of them before.
I have.
And so they regulate everything from, we have to monitor any gas that might come out of the landfill.
Okay.
We have to monitor where our stormwater is going. We have to monitor and mitigate any leachate that might come out of the landfill. So there's a lot of water management.
So that would be things leaching down in through the ground, into the groundwater, things like that. Leachate? Did you say?
Leachate. Leachate?
Leachate.
Yeah, like
okay.
leach, A-T-E.
Okay.
So that's, basically we call, my boss calls it landfill juice.
Oh.
And yeah.
Okay.
So basically what they mean by that is like if any water is going through the trash, it picks up any pollutants that are in the trash.
That makes sense.
And then you obviously makes sense, you don't want that water going places where you don't know where it's going.
Yeah.
So we have to keep track of that and, watch out for it. And we have a whole new fancy mitigation system in place. So
how do
it's
you?
pretty cool.
Yeah, I guess like just thinking about it physically. Like how do you is there sensors or anything that can sense how? Because I mean, how do you know what's going on down under, so to
Right.
speak, underneath?
Well, so kind of, you can almost think of it like sensors. So there's wells.
Okay.
So there are wells drilled all around the landfill in different places.
Okay.
And periodically we test
That makes
the
sense.
air and the water that's down in the bottom of those wells.
Okay. Have
And
you found
then you
anything
can
that was
tell.
like totally surprising? Like, oh my gosh, I can't believe there's arsenic, or I don't even know what it would be. Some hazardous.
No, nothing totally surprising.
Crazy? No.
Nothing totally surprising. I mean, the reason we have a mitigation system in place now is that we did find a small amount of vinyl chloride in one of our wells, but it was, from what I know, it's not very surprising, and it's a low amount. So.
Okay. Because
Yeah.
obviously there's
So
just
that's
a
something we're
crazy
managing.
variety of things in the landfill.
There are, especially think about back in the day, you know,
Right.
before they had diversion programs for hazardous waste. People put all sorts of stuff in there.
So there could be something literally from 20 years ago
Mm-hmm.
that's kind of, worked its way down, so to speak, but then toxins could be released, or who knows what.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, could be.
There's just natural processes that occur, and then of course over time you have, water, like you mentioned, rain, heat, and all these things kind of affecting environmental effects. So then you test these wells periodically and just kind of check those levels. And then moving outside the landfill, we talked a little before the break, it's like there's noxious, define like noxious is more of a political term, correct?
Yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
correct. So you obviously know something about this. Yeah, so we have, in the weed world, it's kind of interesting because there's scientific definitions and then there's legal definitions.
Okay.
So in science we talk about like invasive species.
Right.
Which is basically anything brought here by human activity pretty much in the last 500 years. And the reason these things can get out of control is because their natural predators aren't here.
Right.
These plants, right?
Right. Say it's from Europe or whatever.
Right.
And they
A
might
lot of
have
them are from
certain
Europe. A
animals.
lot of them are from Asia. Yeah.
And then when they come here and they're plants and they don't have those predators, then they just kind of proliferate and they can dominate, right?
Right,
Certain
yeah. So
landscapes?
you get to a problem where if you get to a point where they're multiplying so fast that they reduce the biodiversity in the ecosystem, then that's a problem.
Right.
Yeah, and not to mention there are sort of side problems with some of these where some of them are poisonous. So,
And then typically I saw spraying is one
Mm-hmm.
of the control methods. Now, when
One
you guys
of,
spray,
yeah.
I would imagine it's more an environmentally sensitive type sprays that you're spraying on these weeds, or do you have to use you think of Roundup, and Roundup's been pretty controversial, because it can kill things around it. Like, what do you typically, you guys are using that's like a little more conscious?
So we do, so just so people know, so thanks for bringing that up. The land management department is responsible for all spraying of noxious weeds in the right-of-ways, so for all the roads in Pitkin County roads, and Highway 82 and 133, so it's in the right-of-ways, and then it's any lands that are owned by the general fund of Pitkin County, which is separate from open space and trails. So open space and trails does their own spraying.
Oh, interesting.
For the land management department, we hire a contractor who uses a chemical called Milestone, which is a broadleaf selective herbicide. And it's pretty effective, and I feel okay about it. I mean, we don't use it near water. That's really the only danger, is you don't want to use it near water.
Okay.
So.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, are there such things as completely natural solutions? Or that just isn't effective on most of these kinds of weeds?
I am an optimist, and I like to believe that there are
right
natural solutions.
You're like garden solutions,
yeah.
right? People in their gardens are using natural things.
Yeah, and I mean, for people, it kind of depends on what scale you're operating on.
Okay.
In my opinion, like some natural solutions will just take a little more effort and time to do. So if you're doing it on a small scale, that's great.
Right.
We have so many miles of right-of-way that we really just do need to use something that will take the weed out.
Okay.
So we do.
And for individuals, whether they're looking on their own land, which is obviously a great idea to check their own properties, or they're seeing things out in public lands, how can they identify some of these invasive or noxious weeds? I know the website's a good one resource.
So the Pitkin County website's a good resource. They can also come. I brought these. One of these is for you.
Oh, thank you.
So they can come to the landfill or the Public Works office and get one of these handy books for free.
Noxious Weeds of Colorado.
Yeah.
Not to be confused with Obnoxious Visitors in Colorado. Those are
Yeah.
totally different.
They're not in there.
They might have some similarities, but
yeah, not in
so
there.
this is a great resource.
Yep. And that's a book of all the weeds that have been legally declared a noxious weed.
Okay.
So that have to be removed from your land.
Are all weeds bad? I mean, you think about weeds, oh, it's bad, and and I'm not talking about the cannabis part. That's a whole fun conversation in and of itself. But just noxious weeds.
So it depends on what you mean by weeds, right? So we could get way into that.
What about the ones that are considered politically noxious? Are those all evil weed, so to speak? They're all kind of bad, or are there some benefits?
I mean,
weeds?
they're not. I mean, no plant is evil, so they're not evil. They're just, the thing is, they're not evil. They're acting the way they have evolved to act in their environment. And they cause problems when we humans create an environment where they can, multiply like crazy. But no, I mean, so it depends what you mean by weeds. So when you talk about weeds, there's noxious weeds, which are invasive, meaning not native. There are also plants that scientifically you would consider a weed that are native. Right? Like annual sunflowers.
Okay.
You technically would consider those a weed, but they're native.
I have
So
those
if
in
you
my
have
garden.
a native, well, but they're a native weedy species is what you would say, because they put out so many seeds.
Okay. Oh, interesting.
Like that's where they're investing their resources, is their seeds and their, So that's kind of the thing, is all of these plants in their home ecosystems.
Right.
They're an essential, good part of that ecosystem.
Right.
It's just that because we've taken them out of context,
Right.
then they're a problem.
It's interesting.
So our weeds here that are in their correct context, we do need them,
Because many of the local animals could rely on them for food source, things like that, or beauty, like in the case of a sunflower.
Exactly.
That adds all that golden yellow to that meadow.
And there's all sorts of small annual forbs and grasses that might be considered weedy, but they're native, and they have their place in the ecosystem, and they provide things to other plants that the other plants wouldn't live without that.
Have you heard about Thrash a Thistle?
No, what's
the Thrash a Thistle
Thistle
program?
What's
So this
that
is a
mean?
decades-old program that's been originated in Aspen.
Okay.
And it was either Elizabeth Pepke or Fabi Benedict. I think it was Fabi Benedict. So these are like the founding families of Aspen, post-World War II, that kind of brought in the Aspen Institute and different things. Fritz Benedict was actually a successful architect, but his wife was very environmentally active. But they had a thing where they wanted the community to go in and thrash thistles, physically removing these thistles.
Okay.
And it was a program, and it's still, you see it pop up every now and then, like in the local newspaper. I mean, that being
Interesting.
said, like Hunter Creek Valley, I was back there today. There's thistles proliferating back in the Hunter Creek Valley. I mean, what are we to do, like as citizens, about some of these? And would that be considered invasive?
Well,
the thistles?
So here, that's a great question. So thistles, there's not just one kind of thistle, right?
Right.
There's
right.
a lot of different kinds. And so if you look in this book, there's several kinds of thistles that are invasive.
Okay.
And do you happen to know what kind you saw up there?
I
But
don't,
there's-
but the ones that are like these big
It was-
queen, like multiple
was-
5-6
Yeah.
feet tall that are branching out.
We get a lot
with
of
the big purple heads on the top.
Okay. Well, we get a lot of plumeless thistle around here. It could be
Okay.
that kind. But one thing I do kind of want to emphasize to people is that there are native thistles too.
Right.
And our native thistles are great, and we don't want to pull them.
So you need to know.
But so you kind of
before
do
you
need
just start-
to maybe take some pictures
Yeah.
and go do some Googling and look at the book and see what it is. But as a general rule, if you see like what you saw at Hunter Creek, like a whole field of them,
Yeah.
and they just look like they're taking over,
Yes.
that's probably an invasive species.
Right, and there's been
And-
efforts. There's been like community weed pulling days that different organizations, whether it's RFOV, Roaring Fork Outdoor Volunteers, or the county, or the city, and Hunter Creek's been one of the areas. They had that controlled
Yeah.
burn back there a couple years ago.
They
They
did,
burned that
yeah.
hillside right after we actually built Hummingbird Trail. Then they lit our new trail on fire. But because of that, the thistles are coming in even more now. And they did a weed pull day shortly after that controlled burn, well, like a year after that controlled
Okay.
burn, to go in and try to kind of
Yeah.
control. So sometimes there's community efforts, it sounds
Yeah,
like, to
sometimes there are.
go
and-
after some of these.
Yeah, and I know the Forest Service is specifically keeping an eye on that area, the Hunter Creek area,
Right.
for those thistles.
Right, because it was
So-
a co-op. It was like Forest Service, city, county, that kind of co-opted that and controlled it, and it actually went really well. Took out a lot of that low-lying fuel that's just been sitting in there.
Right. Yeah, which is a
The-
whole other
Yeah, which is a whole nother thing.
thing. Yeah.
So what are the biggest challenges? Like say in either one of those areas, either in the landfill or outside the landfill, what are some of the biggest challenges that are kind of facing us? And I think it would be, like environmentally speaking, under your purview. Do you see anything that's a real like threat or a real worry
Well,
in Pitkin County?
I mean, do you mean in terms of like the landfill, or
I think,
I-
yeah. I mean, whatever you think is like more relevant. You know, is there something going on? Say it's a noxious weed spread outside the landfill, or are there issues in the landfill that are serious that you guys are dealing with, or is everything pretty under control in the county?
Well, I mean, I think everything's pretty well under control. I mean, as far as issues, I just think with the landfill, the biggest issue that we see day to day is just the massive volume of waste
Right,
coming out of Aspen.
right.
And I think that's a pretty big issue to try and raise awareness of that and just try to get people to be more mindful of the amount of waste
Well, and
that's
there's
being created.
and we've had Kathy
Yeah.
Hall on the show, and we've talked about the
Exactly.
importance of composting, which was about 38% of the material going to the landfill. We talk
Yeah.
about construction being almost 60% construction waste. What's going on with is there going to be a kind of a like we have the drop and swap,
Yes.
but like Boulder has a spot where you can get these construction materials. They could be repurposed. The public can purchase them. Has there been some
Right.
progress kind of in that area?
Well, so you should have Kathy back on to talk about that.
We will.
You really should, because she's more involved in the the politics and the long-term planning. I'm not really involved in that side of the long-term planning.
Okay.
That's more of her thing. But I think she does have a few things in the works just to try to address that problem.
What would be a
Yeah.
couple tips for for our viewers that you would say, just in terms of living more mindful day to day, not producing as much trash and things that fill the landfill? What are just a couple of general tips? Because again, Kathy and I have touched on some things like maybe we don't need to buy all the clothing and all the stuff and all the plastics and all the single-use plastics, and maybe along those lines that people could just do day to day.
Yeah, I mean, basically just that. What I'm sure you guys have talked about before, like just whenever you feel like you're gonna go out and buy something because you need something, I would just
My co-host is
sit
getting
down
active.
yes. I just think it's important for people to sit down and not sit down, but stop and just think for a moment and think, okay, do I really need this thing?
Yeah.
What is it really bringing to my life? Okay, and if I really do need it, can I check out a thrift shop? Can I go get it from a reuse store? Or can I borrow it from someone? I really like the ideas of these, like, lending libraries, like some places have. I'd like to get more of that going, like where you can borrow a shovel or borrow a tool, or you've heard of these.
Yeah, I think there's something with Pitkin County Open Space and Trails that they're creating like a tool library where if you wanted to borrow, say, hand tools, that's being talked about. So what the website for people, just to kind of give people a resource, is it pitkin.gov or what's the website?
I should know that, but I actually don't. I'm sorry.
That's okay. Well, I have your
Yeah.
I have your contact. What's your email address?
My email is liz.mauro@pitkincounty.com.
Okay.
So-
That got bumped out of my notes here.
Yeah.
So people can
Yeah.
contact you with general questions.
Questions, and I do site visits.
Okay.
So if people want a site visit for me to come look at their land, to look for invasive species or just the health of their land, I can come do that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
And, oh yeah, there was one other thing.
Okay. Go
Wait a
ahead.
second. People can contact me if they want a map of where we've sprayed in the county.
Okay.
So that's kind of one other thing with the spraying,
Sounds
is we
good.
use GIS.
Okay.
So
We are out of time. Did you
Okay.
have fun on the show today, Liz?
yes, I had a great time.
I baked you some organic chocolate
Aw.
chip cookies.
Thank you so much, Eric.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
That was really informative.
Yeah,
I really learned
okay.
a lot. Luna finally warmed up to the conversation. And thank you guys for watching us this week here on The Local Show. Aspen Animal Hospital not only offers our community a friendly professional staff featuring 5 veterinarians, but a new wellness program for pets focusing on prevention and pet longevity. They offer new enhanced feline care, exotic pet care, and acupuncture. Extended hours on weekdays and weekends offer more convenience. For more information, 925-2611 or aspenanimalhospital.com.
We're not in Kansas anymore.
Hey, did you miss the turn for recycling?
I can't read the map on your cracked screen.
I'm so passionate about this community. I absolutely love living here and raising my family here. It gives me a lot of pride to share this with my friends and my clients and help them achieve their dreams of owning an Aspen snowmass and enjoying this incredible lifestyle.
The Aspen Times has been telling the stories that matter to our community since 1881 and continues to be the only local media outlet committed to local prep sports and dedicated arts and entertainment coverage. They also offer you The Drop-In, a weekly outdoor recreation video highlighting the many reasons we love to live in this community. You can find the Aspen Times at local newsstands, aspentimes.com, Facebook, and Instagram. Sundog Athletics is celebrating 22 years as Aspen's adventure sports school and is your opportunity to quickly and safely gain new skills to experience the thrills of adventure sports, including mountain and road biking, fitness hiking, and the area's only flatwater canoeing adventures. For more, sundogathletics.com, Sundog Athletics on Facebook, or 925-1069.
Welcome to